yesterday. I'll bring up Clank on YouTube. He said, one of the best quotes I've ever heard. I don't think Kratz will be able to bring it up on the spot. You want me to tell you what you said?
Clank?
Well, Clank was the YouTube commenter that brought this up, but you were talking about the Pirates and how they were always kind of stalling. And do you remember what you said? Kind of had a piratey sound to it.
I don't remember.
Well, you said don't buy your own fool's gold.
Oh, no.
That was good.
I appreciate that.
You're natural. Good job. You don't even know you said it. You're just flowing. You're a true stand-up comic now. Look at you. Took 2 years, AJ, but we taught Kratz how to talk.
Don't buy your own fool's gold. I don't even remember. I don't even remember him saying that, but
it's pretty good, though, right?
It's good.
I mean, look who I've learned from. I've learned from AJ, and I've learned from you, Scott, with your new haircut.
Thank you.
For those of you listening to the podcast, you are missing out because we are going to get that guy.
High and tight.
Whoever did that to you, we are going to get him. Did
you get a free bowl of soup with that?
What don't you like now?
It's high and tight, bro.
Hey,
usually don't go that high and tight.
You got your ears lowered, Keith.
He doesn't like when it's long. He doesn't.
I didn't say. I know. I've never said I didn't like anything.
He never said he didn't like it.
What do you like?
I didn't say that. I never said I didn't like it. I just said you went high and tight.
I did. Yeah.
So I didn't say I didn't like it.
It's pretty common to have it pretty short on the sides and then let it flow on top.
On the top?
Yeah.
You're the one that doesn't like it.
TikTok
you said it.
More guys. TikTok influencers. Nothing here on the sides. Curl in the front. A little more on top.
AJ's son plays.
I went to the hairdresser and I said, give me the TikTok. This is what she did.
AJ's son plays baseball. I'm sure he has long hair or had long hair in the last calendar year.
My son has always had long hair.
Out of the hat.
Yeah, he does.
My son's always had long hair.
He does.
He loves it. As Freddie Freeman and Jeff Francoeur used to call him, he has show hair.
He had show hair when he was a kid, too.
Oh, when he was a kid. He always has had long hair.
Mm-hmm.
He loves his long hair.
All right, well, I'll do my best. I'll work on building it back up to get it to what you guys need it to look like.
Hold up. We didn't say anything. We didn't say we didn't like it.
It was bad. We just said
you got it cleaned up high and tight.
High and tight.
You could go in the Marines now.
Which is, you guys are giving it away. New show coming up on the FT Network. High and tight. It's our 13th show on the network.
Discuss Scott's hair products. Not only does he live in my son's loft, he's taken over one of the restrooms in this room with his hair products.
I do. It's not a restroom. It's a makeup room.
Oh, yeah.
It's a powder room.
It's Scott's makeup room.
It's a powder room, okay? Let's charge the mound.
Charging the mound.
AJ's so excited about the arbitration figures that are coming in. The only thing I will say is for a sport that so often releases news at the weirdest times, thank you for making the arbitration number exchange deadline 1:00 Eastern time. So we get all of the fun numbers during our show on what people are making. And this is the one time per year that I can remind everyone that they are in arbitration and they do not get to select what kind of money they get. They're not free agents, okay? So this is on somewhat of a pay scale, and you can challenge the team and you can take them to baseball court and you can state your case. But most players nowadays say, hey, I'm here, you're here, let's meet in the middle.
Yeah, but they don't actually they're not together when they're doing these numbers. You don't get together till it's trial time.
Right, they're on the phone.
Yeah, but listen, as someone that went through this, I don't know if Kratz ever went through arbitration, but most of the time you try to make a deal. But there are also times, like I went to trial and it was a very interesting experience. And I've told the story on here many times. But I think if you really want to know what clubs think about you, you go to arbitration. If you want to know what your team really thinks about you and how the business of baseball works, go to arbitration and sit in that, 5-hour, 4-hour, whatever it is, trial, loose term. I mean, it's not like life or death, and you'll see what the other team thinks about you. You'll see what other teams look for, and you'll see how you try to defend yourself. It's a very interesting process that listen, take your money, guys, if you feel like you got a good deal for you and your family. But if you're fighting for some money and you don't want to settle, go for it and enjoy the process. Don't let it bring you down.
The only thing that bothers me, Kratz, is when you see the player and the team go to arbitration over like 50 grand. We were just talking about this on Fair Territory because I was filling in today and I was on with Ken. He's like, 50 grand? If you combine what they're paying for legal fees, research, all kinds of stuff leading up to that trial, especially for both sides, you're both losing on that one. I mean, for me, I'm like, if you're getting that petty, can we just take the 50 grand and donate it to charity? Like, we're really, like, you're donating it to lawyers at that point.
I mean, 50 grand for anybody, for me, would have been a lot of money. I would have loved an extra 50 grand. But teams look at it that, you know what? They're going to see this player again. If the player is Joe Smith, not the reliever, Joe Smith, and he's going and he's arguing 50 grand, that team is going to have another Joe Smith in 4 years, another Joe Smith in 2 years after that, another Joe Smith in 3 years after that. And if they give the 50 grand now, that 50 turns into 100, which turns into 200. That's the way they look at it. And unfortunately, it's not a perfect system, but it works out. It works out.
I think they should just.
No, because first of all, I mean, I didn't have to pay 50 grand for my lawyer fees. It's my agent. That's his job. My agent does it, and the union does it. I pay them every year.
Players Association.
And whatever the club has to pay, it's their own fault.
That's what I'm saying. The club should just eat it. Because also, is the 50 grand, okay, there's
Okay,
precedent.
but where do you stop that number at? 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand?
Exactly.
I just know you don't stop it at 50 because I don't want to piss the player off.
But
Is
sometimes,
50 grand
sometimes
worth
like, okay,
pissing the
so
player off?
I remember when I went to arbitration, right? I was fighting, and when I won my case, I became the highest paid player of a first-year catcher ARB eligible ever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was a big deal. I remember Michael Weiner, who God rest his soul, passed away from a brain tumor, should be in charge of the union right now. Was in my case, and they saved my case for like one of the last ones. And I was like, "Why are you putting my little case?" And they're like, "Because yours is hugely important for the future." Right? Because if we win, it sets a new precedent for catchers because catchers are still greatly underpaid.
Sure. Yep.
Right?
Cool.
So when I won, it was like a huge deal for the union because then it set up guys like Russell Martin, Brian McCann, right? To say, hey, well, there's precedent for me to get this amount of money because so-and-so got it 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever the year is. So that's why this process is important for guys, every guy, for a reliever. If I'm a reliever and I'm a whoever, left-handed reliever, and I can get, let's say $4 million instead of $3 million, it sets the bar for the next left-handed reliever with numbers similar to mine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing about arbitration that people don't really understand is that it's not just about you. Yeah, you want to make your money, but it's also about setting up the future because it raises salaries if you win. Now, if you lose, it sucks. But I won, so I was like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah. I mean, free agency has that effect to an extent with some players.
But they don't always line up. But arbitration is literally A to B.
Right. You make your comp, you make your case.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not a marketplace.
No.
It's a case. Free agency is a marketplace. When sometimes a pitcher says, I want what that pitcher got because I think I'm as good. And it's like, that's cool. But the market says you're not, or they don't want you right now.
Look at what, I mean, Buster, every single catcher that was not me because I'm not, I wasn't in that realm of like playing every day, my first 3 years in the big leagues. Every single catcher that goes to arbitration has AJ to thank. AJ has someone else to thank. So as a player, you have to look at it that way. Buster Posey doesn't get the contract he got without the fact that his arbitration numbers were going to skyrocket. Yes, he had a Rookie of the Year. Yes, he had World Series. Yes, he had an MVP by his first arbitration. But without those other people going ahead of him, you don't get that money because ownership. Why would the ownership overpay for somebody? They want to pay what the market is, and that's why they argue, okay, AJ's number is this, we're 500,000 under it. People will say 500,000, AJ's one of the best players in the game. He's young, he's up and coming. Because 500,000 turns into 3 million before you even know it for the next player.
Yep.
All right.
So money-wise, I mean, I think the biggest one as of right now, we'll get all of them by the time the show's done. We're not going to read them, but is Luis Ariz. He settled at $14 million. The ones that get the most money are the ones that are one step away from free
Yeah,
agency.
the third year ARB eligible guys.
Mhm.
That are the year before free agency.
Yeah. The two names that stood out to me that we haven't gotten word on yet are Vladdy Jr.
He's not settling. He's going to court. He's been to court the last 2 years, hasn't he?
Has he?
I think he's been. I think he has.
I think
So
last
he has
year.
to sit
I
there.
think last year.
I know he's been at least 1 year, and he won. Didn't he win last year or did he lose? If he lost, he's definitely going.
So he gets the double whammy of the Jays offering him a below market extension and then also going to arbitration where they tell him how he's not good at this, that, and that. Good for him. That's
But it
really
al-
a good way to win the player.
But it also gives them more time to discuss an extension, which happens during this time. Hey, you're going to get $30 million. You want $30 million in arbitration. We'll give you this for the next 3 years, including what you're getting in arbitration, plus another 6 years because you're this old. It all goes into it. But we're talking about arbitration. I never actually went to arbitration, but if there's ever another 38-year-old catcher with 5 years of big league service time, you can thank me because I signed a pre-tender deadline deal. So you can thank Erik Kratz for all those 38-year-olds who are going to have less than 6 years of service time.
All right, we'll find somebody. Yeah.
By the
there'll be
way,
somebody.
Vlad won his
There won't
case
be.
last year for 19.9.
No, they won't.
He
won.
won last year for 19.9.
Okay. And this year he's
This
going
year he's
for 30
projected
plus.
by whoever you want to look at it to make 29.
Yeah. I know MLB Trade Rumors
Plus.
does projections for
Yeah,
all of them.
that's
They
who it
put
is.
him at 29.6.
29.6 this year.
Yeah.
Blue Jays got a lot of guys. Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Ernie Clement, Manoah, who's a real interesting case.
Yeah, he is.
Zach Pop and Nick Sandlin, who they just traded for.
Yeah, the Astros have a bunch too that we're waiting on. Then the one other one that I think is just funny is the Cubs trading for Kyle Tucker. And it's like, welcome to the team. I feel like a player in that case does have a little bit of leverage because he's like, do you really want me to be the savior this year and take me to court as
They
our
did it.
first
When I got traded to the
relationship?
Giants, they did it to me.
I was
I
going to
know
say,
they
you did
did.
it with the Giants.
But
You know what was
everybody's
better?
different.
You know what it was actually better though for
Why?
me because I didn't know the organization, so I didn't really know the people.
Oh.
If I would have gone to arbitration with Terry Ryan and the Minnesota Twins, like that would have been way harder to sit across from Terry Ryan, the guy who drafted me, and listen to him badmouth me. But the Giants, I'm like, I don't even know y'all. I ain't been to spring training yet. I haven't done anything. Like I talked to you on the phone, met you a couple times. Hey, everything's hunky dory. That to me was what, like for Kyle Tucker, he's like, I don't know the Cubs guys.
But they don't go anymore, the big boys. Don't they send the secondary crew to do all the dirty
I don't know.
work?
I just remember sitting across from the guy
Mhm.
for the union. And first of all, there's a folder that's like, I can't, it's like as wide as this laptop, right?
Mhm.
Or this iPad. And the guy's flipping through the pages because, rebuttals and all that. And the guy's hands were shaking because he was like some young guy for the commissioner's office.
Uh-huh.
His hands were like, and I remember sitting next to my agent and I'm like, you see his hands? And we were both like, he was like trying to read and his hands were like, oh.
That's why you should have
I
gotten
was
up
like,
and
oh,
said,
baby.
You're like, he's lying, Your Honor. He's shaking his hands. He knows I'm good and I deserve this.
It was funny. It was an experience, right? But it was easier again because I was traded, so I wasn't with the team that brought me up, and there was no feelings for me other than I want to win and I want to get my money that I'm fighting for. And I'll be honest with you, with the Giants, if they would have got close to the midpoint, I would have taken it. But they didn't even get close. They didn't even. So I filed at 3.5, and they filed at 2.25, and they wouldn't go above 2.5, and I was like, what? I'm like, if you guys get to like middle, which is I don't even know,
2.8, something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
If they would have got to 2.75, coming off making $190,000, I'm like, oh, geez. So I went in like, even if I lose, I'm going from 200,000 to 2.25. I got nothing to lose here,
Yeah.
right? And then I won. So then I'll never forget. I was in Fashion Square Mall in Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale.
Yeah.
My phone rings, and I was with my agent because that's where the cart cases are. And the phone rang, and it was the player. And all they do is call you. The player association calls you. Goes, hey, I forget who called me. Hey, this is so and so from the player association. Just want you to know you won your case. All right, thank you. Click. And I was like, hey, we won. And I never forget. My agent was full Jerry Maguire. You know my
Really?
agent in the middle of the Scottsdale Mall, in the middle of the food court, going, we won. And everyone's like, what the hell? He's like, we won.
Get you
we
some
won.
Louis
That's
Vuittons.
awesome. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But it was, it's because they don't tell you why you won. They don't tell you why you lost. All you do is say you won or you lost. There's nothing else. You won, you lost, boom.
$1 million, you won.
Yeah, $1.25 million I won in that.
Right.
However long.
Hey, and agencies do work really hard. They work their asses off, and there's people behind the scenes that specialize with that stuff. So when you get a dub like that, it hits.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is the good stuff. It's the one day we get to really get deep on arbitration. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk to Scott Ostler, one of our Bay Area specialists, about both the Giants signing Verlander and the A's spending a little bit of dough on Brent Rooker. This episode is brought to you by Orgain. Shout out to Orgain, excellent source of, there you go, Kratz, that's a mean look, ultra premium filtered protein, all 9 essential amino acids, handcrafted with high quality ingredients. Does that look like a man who cares what he puts in his body? I mean,
nope.
he played baseball until he was 50.
I care.
Maybe
I'm a man. I'm 40. Yeah. I care what's going into my body.
There you go. I like that. That grip, too. You're not giving that thing up. But 30-gram protein shakes, it checks all the boxes, and it tastes good. I think that's really the X factor with Orgain.
I had one today after my workout.
There you go.
Guess what flavor I had, Scott?
Chocolate.
Yeah, I got chocolate. Scott's going to shake his Orgain again.
I have it. I mixed a little coffee with it this morning.
Of course you did.
Mm-hmm.
Shocker.
Of course you did.
Yeah, all right, let's give him the promo code. I actually just placed a huge order online, too.
You know what's great? This stuff really does taste good.
Of course it does. Yes.
Well, there's a lot of those things that don't taste good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, you're rare. Like...
A lot of them taste like chalk. That's the flavor I got my whole life, and chalk? Now I don't have it.
You requested chalk?
I didn't request it, but I dealt with it, and then Orgain popped up. So thank you, Orgain. 30% off your order at Orgain.com/FOUL30. And then you use the code FOUL30. So get after it, FT fam. No quick fixes when it comes to your health. So if you want more protein, give their 30-gram protein shakes a try. Again, that's Orgain.com/FOUL30. Use code FOUL30 for 30% off your order. We're coming back with Scott Ostler, San Francisco Chronicle columnist, to talk about the 2 Bay Area teams. Next break, we'll take some of your questions in the YouTube chat. Here we go. Scott Ostler joins us right now, San Francisco Chronicle columnist. You can follow him on Twitter at Scott, Ostler. Scott, good to see you again. We'll talk a little bit of Giants and a little bit of A's if that's cool with you. I wanted to start off with San Francisco because I personally think as long as he stays on the field, Justin Verlander will be a nice draw for the fans out there. I know they want more than that. They want wins, but I do think that they'll look forward to nights like that because you don't know how many Verlander starts you have left. So what did you think of the signing?
I thought it was good. Not fantastic, not great. It kind of shows that the Giants it shows what they are, which is kind of a second-tier team. You know, you got the Yankees and the Dodgers and the big spending teams, the Mets and so forth. And they're going to get all the big guys, and the kind of the second-tier guys are going to go to the people like the Giants. It's not bottom feeders, but you're not with the elite. But so signing Verlander was good, and I think that they're really hoping that. Pardon me. A lot of what he's going to bring, they hope he wins 10 or 12 games too, but a lot of mentorship and leadership and clubhouse presence.
Scott, I mean, that sounded a little bitter there. That sounded like a bitter old Giants fan saying the Dodgers get all the players and the Giants used to be the players. The Giants used to be the team that were getting all the players. So what's changed? I thought Buster Posey coming in was going to change all this kind of narrative. And I mean, what's the deal?
Well, they used to get all the players because they would draft them and develop them. Like Buster is a prime example, and Timmy Lincecum and Madison Bumgarner and all the other guys. So that was a part of their formula, and they hit a good patch for a while, and that worked. And now it's kind of slowed down. And to be like a top tier team now, you got to spend money. It's more of a money game than ever. And the Giants are not in that class of spending the money. Whether they have the money, some people say they're a little bit tight-fisted. They're a little bit too reluctant to spend the money. And some people say they just get outbid by the big giant guys like the Mets and the Dodgers.
So are they becoming?
But I don't think Buster coming there. I think it improved their chances. And losing Farhan Zaidi, as good a guy as he was, and he had a lot going for him and everything. I think everyone's ready for a change, and I think it's really going to benefit the team in the long run. But I don't think it's going to be. It can't be a dramatic thing like, oh, all of a sudden Ohtani now wishes he would have gone to the Giants because Buster is the GM. It doesn't work that way, but it has been a positive, good change.
Are the Giants turning into the Toronto Blue Jays of like the 2000s or 2010s, where if they put an offer out there, if they put a number out there, agents and players are going, well, hey, the Giants offered me this. Can you match it? I'll go there. Have they become that team, or is this narrative that they're actually in on all these guys not a real thing?
Well, I mean, are they being used? In other words, are they being exploited by agents and so forth? Yeah, there's always an element of that, and I think that might have been possible, say in the Aaron Judge and stuff like that when he was out there. It helped to have a team like the Giants put their offer in. And even with Ohtani, supposedly they made him a really big offer, and that probably you can make the case that the Giants offer caused the Dodgers to pay more than they would have, and so squeezing the Dodgers a little bit, I guess, is a benefit. But I think it's just that they are not. It's just so much of a money game now. It's just a bottom line deal. I think San Francisco is an attractive place, but the ballpark works against, say some pitchers. Ohtani would be a case there because he's a pitcher. It's not the premier destination, and mostly because of the money. But it is still an attractive place to come, I think. And I think Buster is part of that thinking.
Well, they still get huge crowds there, and it's still a great ballpark. I don't know. The hitting is the hitting.
It's a good ballpark. It is. I'll give you that.
It's still a great ballpark. It's beautiful. It's a little chilly for someone from Florida. I mean, in August, I'm wearing a turtleneck and a hoodie. But come on.
Put a scarf on.
But other than that, it's beautiful. All right, so Scott, I want to go to the other team that's not in the Bay Area anymore, the A's. So can you still cover them?
They're not in the Bay Area anymore?
They're
not
technically.
I don't even know where they're from. It doesn't say anything on their shirts.
Nobody knows where they're from. They're the ATHs, okay? So they're the West Coast Athletics. But Dave Cavall obviously resigned. Here they go spending money. I think we're one of the few shows that actually talks about they're kind of forced to spend the money, right? So your thoughts on the A's actually, now they're spending money because they have to. And is it because they have one arm tied behind their back and John Fisher's like, hey, oh my gosh, don't twist my arm too hard or I have to spend money?
The spending money is a horrible joke to me because for the last 3 years, I think it is in a row, they've had the lowest payroll in baseball, and it's not even close. They're way, way, way down there. I don't have the figures right in front of me. Roughly $40 million last year. Well, this year, in order to receive their share of revenue sharing, which would be, I think, $60 million, in order to get that without a complaint from the players' union, they need to get their payroll up to a certain level, which is about $105 million, something like that. And so they got to boost their payroll. And that was one of the reasons they went out and signed a pitcher and gave him a contract larger than they've ever given anybody else. They have to spend up to a certain amount, and I think it's $105 million they have to get to. And I wrote this. I think their final payroll will fall somewhere between $105 million and $105.1 million. In other words, they're going to spend exactly what they have to spend in order to get their revenue sharing, which will give them a huge profit next year with their TV money and all that stuff. They're just going to make tons of money and spend as little as possible. And it'll probably kill John Fisher to spend that much, but he's got to do it in order to make money. So it's all a
Is that
game.
right,
It's all a
ridiculous.
scam.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. 0.1.
That's what I mean. Is that right? Is that enough? Should it be more? Like, I just feel like there's so much that's not fleshed out about this that you've said it for the last 3 years. They've just pocketed all that money. They've just not spent any of it. And now all of a sudden they're kind of spending it. They're not taking loans out. Like, they have this money. So should it be more? Should it be higher?
I really believe that baseball is terrible for not having a bottom line, a minimum salary cap. It shouldn't. The gulf between the haves and the have-nots. If one team is spending $250 million and one team is spending $40 million, that doesn't make sense. They shouldn't even be in the same sport or the same league or the same. They should be a minor league team or something like that. So that's wrong. Baseball needs to address that at some point. But I agree with you. They should have to spend, let's say, $150 million. They should have to spend enough to be a representative team and not be just a bunch of guys out there. And I feel sorry for the players because you put them in a position where they really can't compete. Although they did a pretty good job last year, despite all that stuff. But yeah, the John Fisher ownership has been a kind of a blight on baseball, basically for a long time.
But you said haves and have-nots. It's not the haves and have-nots. I don't see John Fisher being like, oh man, I got to sell the team because it's just I'm losing. It's the spends and spends nots. Now, could they spend up to the Dodgers level since you as a Giants fan, you look up to the Dodgers, but right. You sit there and you go, like, it's not the have. They have money. They're choosing not to spend it.
No, there's no question that John Fisher has enough money to spend more. And he would make the case, well, we've been stuck in a terrible ballpark and we've had all everything stacked against us, so we couldn't come up with a new ballpark. But there have been people almost literally standing in line to buy that team for years. And I'm talking about legitimate people like Joe Lacob and other people, backed by Reggie Jackson had a group. And there's been 3 or 4 groups that right now would step up and buy the team. So to say that John Fisher is a victim of being stuck in a terrible ballpark in Oakland is not his fault. Well, it is his fault because other people believe that they could have made a go of that they could have put a ballpark in Oakland, that they could have brought the team up to where it was drawing what it used to draw, 20, 30,000 or more fans a night and be legit and be among the big spenders. So to me, it's just a reign of error. It's just been a long time with suffering under John Fisher. And I really think, people in Oakland feel bad. I actually feel good for them that they're from under the burden of having to try to support or coexist with a John Fisher team.
Scott, isn't it interesting, though, how the A's, who are in Oakland, which is a huge market, didn't get any revenue sharing, so they had a low payroll. Now they go to Sacramento, and the reason they have to spend money is because they're in a small market. And so in order to get the revenue sharing money, they actually have to spend money. Isn't that kind of ironic that in order to get money, they have to spend money?
No, and they were getting some.
They weren't getting as much as they get now in Sacramento because of the market.
Trickle down because they were like, you have to figure out your situation. Right, Scott?
Yeah, well, it just shows how cheap they were, what a terrible low spending, low rate organization they were and still are, that they're in that predicament. It's just it'll be interesting. I thought it was interesting. One thing that when they announced the move to Sacramento for months and months and months, they said we're going to put an AstroTurf field. We're going to put a fake turf field in it at the field we're going to play at. And I and other people wrote that this is ludicrous. That its average temperature in West Sacramento in the summer in hot months gets to be like 95, 97 degrees, and you can't play on AstroTurf when it's 110, 115 degrees, which it gets to occasionally there. And finally, about 3 weeks ago, they said, okay, we're not going to do the AstroTurf thing. But the fact that they would even think about that, subjecting major league players or even little league players to playing on AstroTurf at 110 degree temperatures and subjecting fans to that kind of treatment, it just shows to me how tone deaf the whole organization is, and MLB too. Let's not forget Rob Manfred and his part.
All right. So the next step, do you think, because you're there, boots on the ground, do you think they make it to Vegas? Do you think this organization makes it to Vegas? Do they get stalled in Sacramento and nothing ever happens and Sacramento becomes the new home of the ATHs?
That's the prime question right now. And I'm such a financial genius. That's why I can barely make my rent. But so when I say some of these things, you got to take it with a grain of salt. But I would be surprised if they actually make it to Vegas in 3 or 4 or 5 years, or whatever they say. I would, if I were betting and setting the betting odds, I would put it at like 25%. Maybe they'll make it there. And it seems to me even lower because there are so many things against them. The fact that the price keeps going up. They just boosted the price from 1.25 billion to 1.5 billion, I think, because they said, there's increased labor costs since we had our original estimate and everything. But those costs keep going up every day. Those click up every day like a taxi meter. So if they think they're going to freeze those costs for 2 or 3 years while they're building the ballpark, they're wrong. Where they're getting their money, we still don't know. John Fisher said he and his family would kick in a certain amount, but he said they want private investors to buy parts of the team. Well, so far there's been no word that there's anybody clamoring to join that club. So it's just so problematic. The fact that they think they're going to fill a 33,000 seat stadium in Las Vegas every night with maybe a representative team. We don't even know if they're going to be. It's going to be the chicken and the egg again. They're in Las Vegas. They got a new ballpark, and for a couple of weeks, maybe they only draw 25,000 instead of 33,000. Well, John Fisher says we're not drawing enough fans. We have to lower our payroll. We have to get rid of our favorite slugger. It just, there's so many moving pieces. I wrote a column a couple months ago about, where's the noise in Vegas? We don't hear about investors. We don't hear about progress of the stadium. We haven't seen any construction start. We saw the tear down of the arena. And also, I've talked to people in Las Vegas, and there seems to be, I'm way an outsider, seems to be no buzz. No, oh my God, the A's are coming to town. Woo, the excitement. It's kind of a Dodger town. It's the Dodgers have kind of a foothold in there. They're closer to LA. And doesn't seem to be any huge buzz, which you want from a new team in town, right? You're bringing in a new team. Like when they brought in the hockey team, there was a huge buzz. With the A's, there doesn't seem to be that. So how they're going to make that work, I don't know. To me, it's I predicted the Howard Terminal thing was a joke. I called it Fantasy Island when they first started trying to make their project there. And this is, to me, this is a like fantasy mirage. So I'll be surprised if they want to put a statue of me in front of the new ballpark and let people throw tomatoes at it once they get going and say, we told this guy we'd do it. Well, fine. But count me as a skeptic.
Hey,
the reason is that nobody wants them. Like Las Vegas people, they don't want them.
Well, they want a team.
They want a team, but they want a new team.
Yeah.
They don't want
they
this
want a new team.
And also
they don't want a team owned by John Fisher and formerly fronted by Dave Kaval. He's not the front man anymore. But people are not stupid. They can look at the record of the A's and they can see what went wrong. They can see back when during the COVID, when the minor leaguers were out of business for a while, and the A's were the only team in baseball that didn't want to pay their minor leaguers a stipend of any kind. People know that their A's are the organization that fed their minor leaguers lunches that you wouldn't give to prisoners. That what they've done over the years, and their incompetence and their bumbling in looking for a ballpark. And why do we want to? What is to get excited about here?
So one more on this.
Do I sound too negative, guys? Am I skewing too negative? I'm sorry.
No, I'm pretty excited. I feel better. I'm pretty positive about the experience because this all always leads me to think that enough failure will eventually lead to sale. And I just want the guy out of the sport. That's all I'm rooting for. I just want the sport to thrive. And usually when new ownership groups come in, they're better than the previous ones. So this is a classic case. But here's my other question for you, Scott. My last one. You mentioned Dave Kaval. I know you wrote about him. Well, what the heck happened? It's hard to read that one because he's the front man, the puppeteer, or the puppet, not the puppeteer. But he helps to get the Sacramento deal done. Then he bounces. It seemed like, just like rooted in Oakland, he was rooted in the organization until he wasn't. So what do you think happened? What's your best conspiracy theory behind the scenes on why he's out?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that he had got the Sacramento thing done, and I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did some work on that. But my thinking on that is that kind of did itself, because Vivek Ranadive, who owns the NBA team up there, and who owns the minor league team and owns the field and everything, he desperately wants baseball. So he didn't need anybody to sell him. Vivek didn't need anyone to sell him on letting them use the ballpark for 3 or 4 years. He basically begged them to come there. So I don't give Cavill any credit for that. I think I'm not clear on what happened. He possibly got out because he just got tired of the whole thing. He doesn't want to. He told people that I talked to, he doesn't want to move to Las Vegas, and so maybe he felt this was a good time to get out. Maybe John Fisher kind of woke up and thought, we need a better front man. Dave Cavill he's a glib guy, and I'm sure he does some good business things behind the scenes, but I'm told he's a hard guy to work with and for. He's hard. People who do business with him say unkind things about him in terms of having to do business with him. He's hard to get a hold of. He's kind of slippery. I know he was the front man for the A's for years, and for years at a time, he kind of went dark. He went off the grid for a lot of us, including me. It became a point where I couldn't get a hold of him. I couldn't reach him even by email to get him to return an email. Just not what I would consider an exemplary front man. And maybe John Fisher, who desperately needs a front man because he's a background man. He decided that Cavill is not his guy and he can do better. And I think he probably will and has.
All right, Scott, before we let you go, a couple of days ago, you wrote an interesting story about Ricky Pearsall. I know he's not a baseball player, he's an NFL player. He was shot in San Francisco, and he wants to meet with his accuser. And I read the article, and it's interesting because you don't really hear about guys getting shot. They want to go meet the assailant, the guy, or the assaulter, whatever the word is that he wants. So, can you just talk about this real quick before we have to go to a break, and how this is something that I've never heard of, and you wrote the article.
Yeah, well, I don't claim to know Ricky really well. I've never really talked to him, but the other day they had a locker cleanout session. At the 49ers, and I asked Ricky some questions about that, and I didn't have any motive or anything. I just was curious, and I asked him if he ever thought he would come face to face with the guy who shot him and tried to rob him, and if he would want to and everything. And I wasn't trying to get anything going. And Ricky said yes, he would. That he believes in the concept of forgiveness, and that he would at some point consider embracing that concept, and that he would like to meet the guy. And he basically said, I don't know what brought him to that point in his life, that 17-year-old kid, why he would rob me, but there's a lot I can't know about him, so I can't judge him, but I would like to meet him. So subsequently, I talked to the public defender who was defending the kid, the 17-year-old who shot Ricky, and he said he would set up a meeting if Ricky was amenable. Well, through Ricky's agent, they declined the offer, and they said, no, this is not right now. They didn't shut the door on that. I don't know. I suspect that maybe Ricky's lawyers, his attorneys, his agents or whatever, convinced him that maybe this is not the right time, that he just finished his first football season. Maybe he needs to take some time away to himself and reflect on this stuff, which he says he still has to get his head right, because it's still there, the attack and all that stuff. So I'm kind of hoping, because I think from what I've learned that it would be good for both of them to get together. I'm kind of hoping that happens at some point. And maybe, as the public defender said, both sides could probably benefit from that kind of thing. So, but I think Ricky's heart is there. I really do. I'm not Dr. Phil or anything, but I really think that Ricky has compassion, and that might happen, but it's not going to happen soon.
Well, thanks for reporting on it, Scott. And obviously encourage everyone to go check it out in the San Francisco Chronicle. We got to jump and hit the break, but thank you for hopping on, Scott. Good to see you.
Thanks, fellas. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. All right, FT fam, we'll be right back. More ARB. Passan reported Skubal and the Tigers are in agreement on a 1 year, about 10-ish. Big raise, second time through the season. He'll get one more try before free agency after 2026.
They got to lock him up.
I know. That's exactly what I was thinking. I like to hear the ones that don't settle. The Katie Wu of Cardinal territory and The Athletic, our friend, said the Cardinals did not settle with
Nootbaar.
super influencer Lars Nootbaar.
I actually saw where they're trying to lock him up to a long-term deal, and they didn't. Super influencer in Japan.
Yeah. It's very bougie and hard to get a hold of. Lars Nootbaar, ahead of today's ARB deadline, per a source. She said the two sides will go to a hearing. He's ARB eligible for the first time this year, and he's coming off league minimum.
Trial?
I'm not sure.
File and trial, for those people that don't know, if you file your numbers, certain teams automatically go to arbitration, which I think is dumb. Why can't you keep negotiating while you're
It's a ploy.
in between?
It's
It
a
is
tactic.
a ploy.
Yeah. It's just a
You know
way
what it
to
is?
force people.
It's a scare tactic.
It is a scare
It's
tactic.
a scare because every player has heard, oh, arbitration's so scary.
Mhm.
So file and trial. God
Yeah.
bless you.
File and trial is not a law, so you can change things. And it's funny how precedents are set until a superstar comes in and says, yeah, I want this, and then everything changes. Oh, we don't offer no trade clauses until you do.
You don't offer sweets on the road until you do.
Until you do.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. Rosarena got about 11 mil from the Mariners. It's by far the most money they've spent this offseason. So, good for them.
Say it with your
Kratz,
chest.
I'm just
Scott.
trying to make you laugh today. How am I doing?
Say it with your chest. You mumble
Yeah.
down. I hope Jerry Dipoto doesn't hear me. The Mariners aren't spending any money.
Hey, I'm nice to Jerry. I'm misunderstood in Seattle. I'm nice to Jerry. I'm mean to John Stanton. And that is how I should be. And that is how all fans are. I go
You know,
off. There's
Scott-
a couple radio stations where I go off. Seattle's where I go off. I spend a lot of
Jared
my-
Dipoto is a Jersey guy. All you guys should be nice to him.
I am nice to Jerry.
I need Jerry to
they,
get-
They hit the offseason and they say, okay, Jerry, you have nothing. Go ahead. That's
I need
tough.
Jerry to get one offensive bat, like somebody that's like not a Pete Alonso, but somebody in a little lower tier than that, so that Scott picks the Mariners to win the American League West. That's what I need.
Got to trade a pitcher.
I need it, Jerry. That's what we need. Make the move. Come on, talk about it, so that Scott can pick your team to make the playoffs.
Got to trade a pitcher. It's time. Hot corner time. Appreciate everyone that's watching. Just wanted to let you know. You can also send us questions anywhere on social media. If you've got a platform, just type foul T and it'll pop up for you. And on YouTube, if you want to join the party and watch while you're watching on TV and then send us questions. MJR Sports Cards was talking about the haves and have-nots, and we were on Ken's show showing the payrolls. So we're like, let's bring it to this show too. On Fair Territory, we were showing the payrolls per division and then also the average payroll versus the AL Central payroll. This was all cooked up by Aaron Gleeman, who covers the Twins for the Athletics. So first, here's the combined payrolls by division. I'll read them out because I know some of you are going to listen on a podcast platform later on. NL West, $1.063 billion. NL East, $945 million. AL East is in the 3 spot at $886 million, followed very closely by the AL West at $852 million, with all the teams in that division combining their payrolls. Then the NL Central at $626 and the AL Central in last place at $549 million. And then the average payroll from an MLB team right now is about $175 million. The average payroll in the American League Central is about $109 million. So Gleeman was just trying to put the info out for his audience, which is very AL Central oriented, to show them how much less they spend. There's
All
always
small
complaining.
markets.
All small markets.
Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
Chicago.
Minnesota,
five
which has
Chicago.
all that whole area.
Yeah.
Both
All the
Dakotas, Iowa, all that area. I mean,
The market size is based on the person that owns the team. That's what it is. Because San Diego feels like a big market because of the way that they operate their team. Minnesota will be there soon when they have a billionaire running the team. A real billionaire.
Detroit. I mean, they proved they could spend money. They just never got across the finish line. Detroit kept, all those years, Prince Fielder, Verlander, Scherzer, Cabrera. Remember, they kept losing in the playoffs, but they were getting there every year.
Mm-hmm.
They were giving themselves chances. They just never could get over the hump.
Why are they getting a pass? I mean, they signed Glaber. I'm good with that. Why are the Tigers getting a pass right now? They signed Cobb.
Detroit economically is taken a turn since those years. I get it. Different person owning, same family owning it, but economically they took a turn. The city in general.
It has? I thought it's gotten better.
Yeah.
It's gotten better. But those years there were some lean years. Now it's getting better. Yes. When they started shutting down, when they had all the stuff that I'm not smart enough to understand. You're saying it was worse so it's been getting better from I was there in 1998 when Old Tiger Stadium, and you didn't go out, you barely went outside your hotel room, right? And ever since then, ever since they built Ford Field and Comerica down, and they put the new Red Wings thing down there, it's way better down there. If you haven't been to downtown Detroit lately, it's a nice area to walk around. There's a lot of good, cool things to do down there now. Mm-hmm. It's gotten way better.
Which is why they need to push the chips in.
I agree.
Go do something for the fans, for the people. I want to get to this story too, because then we've got a guest coming up, and it's actually a Astros story with a Astros guest coming soon. So Astros draft pick Bryce Boettcher told the team he's playing football, peace out baseball. So next season he'll play at Oregon. This report from Brian McTaggart. So Boettcher won't report to spring training in 2025. The Astros gave him the option of reporting to the team and then returning to Oregon in time for the start of the college football season. But Boettcher said, I'm just going to focus on prepping for football. And he told them that he's going to reevaluate his options after football season. Those options do include reporting to spring training in 2026. So he wants to play a little football at Oregon, and then we'll see what happens. But of course, Astros fans get frustrated because they're like, was it worth it? Because you might end up losing a draft pick. You don't get anything for this. You might end up losing a draft pick.
13th rounder.
Oh, it's 13th? I didn't even realize how deep it was.
This guy plays linebacker.
And I'm sure Oregon football is paying way better than a 13th round draft pick signing bonus is going to be.
He probably looked at his salary for the minor league season this coming year.
He got $150,000 from the Astros. I guarantee you at Oregon, he's getting way more than
I know it's way more than that.
Yeah. His minor league salary would have been what this year?
Nothing.
40?
No.
Did they get 40?
Not even that in your first year.
No. 28?
I think first year is somewhere around 20. So his salary, And Oregon football, just like most Division I football programs, it's like Oprah out there. You get a car. You get a car. You get a truck. You get a truck.
See, that hurts baseball.
Plus, this dude plays middle linebacker. It's not like he plays quarterback like Kyler Murray. He's like middle linebacker. I think he played center. Didn't he play center field too for the Ducks?
I'm not sure. I don't know a lot
about him.
He's
an outfielder. I'm pretty sure he's an outfielder.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy's not. He's not like a bench warmer. This dude is like in the heart of Oregon football.
All right, so good for him. He'll play it out, see if he's going to be an NFL guy, and otherwise, I guess baseball's always there for you. But minor leaguers, baseball's not going to compete with NIL college football money anymore. That's not going to be a winning battle. It's not. So he's going to go prep for football. All right, next up, Josh Reddick from Crush City Territory, joining us, of course, former Astros player. little Hungry Root shout out. So this is one of our new sponsors. And if you want to make grocery shopping simple, stress-free, healthy, and still be very picky, Hungry Root is the spot for you. And FT fam, go check out hungryroot.com/FT. Use code FT. Did you guys place your orders?
I did.
You did? Anything on there that you're excited about?
I didn't make the order. My other person did. My wife did.
Yeah.
So I gave her the code and said order.
Go for it.
So I'm gonna now. It's like Christmas Day when my kids open their presents. I wonder what they got.
And it's a big package. There's a lot in there. They cook it up for you, right? They'll say, hey, what are your preferences? And then they'll put it together. You can make tweaks, of course. But for me, I was into the filet mignon situation that we're looking at.
By the way, I know what my kids get for Christmas. That was a joke. just saying. That was a joke.
It was a funny joke, though. It was funny.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make Kratz laugh today.
My kids always say that I don't know what I got them, but I really do.
You do. Yes.
100%.
You're behind the scenes doing the hard work. But with Hungry Root, no artificial sweeteners, no preservatives. They're checking out what they're sending to you first and making sure the brands pass the Hungry Root test. So you're going to love Hungry Root as much as we do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life at hungryroot.com/FT. Use code FT once you're there. hungryroot.com/FT, code FT, 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. Josh Reddick is joining us in 1 minute. All right, here we go. Former big leaguer, and that includes former Astro, Josh Reddick, joining the show for the first time and joining the FT network.
He's already out. He's already out. He's already
out. No, I love this.
Hasn't even come on, and he's already out. Hadn't even come on for the first time. Out. Josh, it's nice seeing you. We're out.
Okay, bye.
We're out, Josh. We're out, Josh. I can't.
Oh, get the hell out of here with that ugly shit stuff.
Hey, careful.
They're definitely out now if you keep cussing.
We're on TV.
And you have the ugliest chair I've ever seen too. But see, I can just go like this, Josh, and you can't say anything now. So we're just gonna.
It take me about get all of my belts out of my man cave area and show them off, but we're not going to put you to shame on that one.
But all the ones that I actually won is the difference. See, I've actually been in the ring.
I've been in it. I haven't been in a match, but I've stepped foot in the ring.
See, that's the difference. There we go. All right, anyways, welcome Josh Reddick, the fan of the worst team in the world.
All right, this is where we're starting off hot, Phil.
Yeah. Well, Josh.
Wait, what is Kratz has his poker tournament. Kratz has his poker tournament trophy.
Are we not getting trophies out? I thought that's what we were doing. We were getting trophies out. That's all I got.
All right, well, I'm the nice one. Oh, here we go.
Oh.
But it's gold!
Grab the silver. Kratz, Scott, Waterboy, go grab my silver bat over there.
I'm connected.
Oh, sorry.
I'm connected right now. By the way, there's a crowd that just listens to the show and doesn't watch. They're going to be like, all they hear is like, what? He brought the gold glove trophy.
Yeah, busted out the gold glove, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
This ball player's
anyway. That's right.
Sure.
That's why we love this stuff. But thank you for joining us, and obviously we're excited to have you as part of Crush City territory with Tyler and with Chandler. So first off, welcome, and are you excited to enter the media world?
Yeah, I dipped my toe into that pond last year with a little pre and post game stuff with the Space City Network with the Astros. So it's definitely a different perspective and different outlook at things. But the way that baseball players seem to be going now, that seems to be the way guys are going to get a little bit more involved in baseball, but not get too close to the game. But they can still stay close enough to where it's something like I look at it as I still miss the game a lot. But as the game's changed, this is the perfect way for guys like me to stay close, but not get too close to where it's, kind of getting too crazy.
Okay, so then I'll go right to the good stuff. What are you guys talking about on Crush City? What do you think about the 2025 Houston Astros?
Well, we've done one show with me, so we've kind of slowly jumped into that. Moves are being made right now. We saw what happened with, Verlander going to the Giants, Gray Kessinger getting traded. So little moves here and there. I think the Bregman news is the biggest thing I think Astros fans are following right now of, maybe trying to accept if he's going or not, because there's always that chance that they can pop back in and give him what he needs to get back to a team. But getting rid of Kyle Tucker, I think, remains the biggest story for Astros fans, and it's still something very hard to swallow. But when you look at it, it's going, man. In the long term, it's better that they got rid of Kyle now than waiting for that later on for this season where. You never know what you're going to get. Kyle could be a big bust with the Cubs, and it could be a huge risk of them getting rid of a 5-star player who could win MVP. You just never know what you're getting when you get rid of a guy with such caliber talent and effort. So, a lot of moves still to be made this offseason, but they better make it quick. Spring training's rolling up fast.
I was going to say, did you think coming into this offseason you'd be like, oh, yeah, the budget-cutting Astros would get rid of essentially who was going to be their best player this year and not re-sign a cornerstone from the yesteryear of Astros baseball?
It is, and as much as we've seen these homegrown Astros players over the years from getting drafted to being such superstars from the Springers, Correas, guys like Bregman, all these big name guys that they've homegrown and done so well at, Astros fan base has been spoiled for the last 8 or 9 years. So they're getting a kind of wake up call of what baseball business is like. Never in a long time we thought the Astros would be cutting that money, but baseball teams have done crazy things before. We just never know what's going to happen. They could drop a big payload. Even the Athletics are dropping money. It's crazy what's happening in baseball right now. Never know what's going to happen, but there's still a chance that they could get him back. But what they've traded away for Tucker with the Payrolls kid, I think he's going to do fantastic. Everybody's preaching about what he can do at Minute Maid Park with the Crawford boxes coming in, Daikin Park. It's not Minute Maid Park anymore, excuse me. The Crawford boxes are a big specialty for him, and I've seen his numbers in winter ball this year. He's a Deadpool guy, so it's something that I think can very well benefit these guys, and the other guys they got in that Tucker trade are just going to be fantastic. One goes straight to a number one prospect in the organization. That right there tells you that they've done their research on these guys and what the Astros have been able to do. And I hate using this word because I'm old school. Analytically, what they've been able to do in baseball has been pretty spectacular.
All right, so then let me ask you this: where do you think Bregman ends up? And then after you answer that, I have another one for you. But where does Bregman end up?
My gut has always said since the beginning of this offseason, Seattle. I think the Seattle Mariners make them because they've missed a guy like Kyle Seager for so long who carried that team, and they need that piece. You see what they have on the mound, and they just need those bats. They need a bat that doesn't strike out a lot. When you look at their lineup last year, 1 through 9, I mean, they tried to improve on their strikeout rate, and they ended up being worse than they were before. So I think that if they bring a guy in like Alex, he's going to help not only the middle of that lineup, but he's going to help solidify the rest of that lineup and focus on not striking out as much and not worrying about the home run as much, as whereas getting more of a balanced lineup. And I know that's not how baseball works now, which is a complete joke, and we won't even go down that road with me. But I think putting him in there brings the reality of it. Look, we don't need to try to hit home runs all the time. We got guys who are going to get us 7 innings every day at minimum most of the time and going to give up 2 runs. We need 3 to win, boys. We don't need 6. We don't need the 6-run homer to win a ball game.
Okay, I agree. But, the Mariners don't spend any money, so Alex is going to have a hard time. And hitters don't normally want to go to Seattle. But they do have Kevin Seitzer, who hates homers. So you never know how it's going to work out. But Kratz knows the joke. But do the Astros have enough? Do they have enough to win this division still if they lose Bregman? With the Payrolls, do they have enough pitching? Because they lost Verlander, who's been a big piece for them. What are they going to do with Fromber? They obviously lost Tucker. I know they're counting on Diaz to take the next step and some of the other people to fill in. Christian Walker's there now. But do they have enough to win this division as they're situated right now?
Right now, I think they do have enough to win the division. It won't be by a large gap, but I do think they have everything they need to win a division. Do they need more pieces? Absolutely. Losing guys, you forget, Jose Urquidy is gone now, and he was such a big part of that Astros rotation. Him being gone, but Fromber steps up. You have guys like Christian Javier coming back. You have Ronel Blanco, who's been phenomenal for them. You have Hunter Brown, who's really turned things around since last May. What he's turned into, their pitching is going to be just fine because, look at the big three they have in the back end of their bullpen. Hader's going to be Josh Hader, like he always has been. Presley's going to be the guy that we know and love. And, with Brian Abreu, he still has so much growing and learning to do that he's going to get so much smarter at how to pitch guys and not just trying to blow 100 by everybody, because his slider is possibly one of the better ones in baseball. So do they have it? Yes. Do they need one or two more pieces to get to where they want to be a World Series contender? Absolutely.
I want to go back to the piece that they got for Tucker with Isaac Paredes. Have you ever seen in your 4 years, or even now watching the team, somebody come in this ilk where it's like, whoa, Crawford boxes, he would have hit 6 more home runs than he did the year before. Have you seen anybody come in and this not work out, where it falls flat on their face, where they're just a natural pull hitter, and then all of a sudden they're like, now I really have to pull the ball, and it becomes something that doesn't work?
Nobody comes to mind when you bring that up. I think one of the guys that mostly benefited from that was a guy like Bregman. We always gave Bregman a bunch of, crap about him pulling balls into the Crawford boxes 3 rows deep. But, when you can play it better than anybody else like he did, that makes it really special for you, because even with Paredes, he's got that pull side pop. But I think when hitters realize that they don't have to force the pull side, it becomes more natural. And then you worry about shooting fastballs the other way, because the ballpark there, as we all know, flies very well from corner to corner. You keep it away from center field, you're going to have a lot of success. But I think with him, the focus is not trying to pull the ball and just going up there and doing what he knows best and just taking his hits the other way. And I think that's where Yainer Diaz really stepped up, is he was trying to pull the ball early, really focused on staying up the middle and just let his bat do the work. And if you want to go about it that way, pull everything off speed, hit everything hard the other way on a fastball. So I think that could be a great mindset for him to have.
Josh, hitters don't do that anymore. Just FYI, it's pull everything. It's trying to go deep.
I'm talking how we played the game, fellas. I can't help it.
Yeah, I'm saying they don't do that anymore. Haven't you seen it? Sit, spin, strike out 250 times, and hit 25 and get paid. And take your walks every once in a while.
$3 million to hit 210. No, I get it.
Okay. Speaking of a team that you've played for that historically doesn't spend any money, we don't know where they're playing Athletics. What do you think?
That one kind of hurts me personally, because and I'm going to talk about myself, because I really wanted to stay there. When I was coming into free agency, I really wanted to stay there because I made a home for myself. I was successful there, and you guys know, once you get comfortable somewhere, it's really hard to leave, because when you get that success and you get comfortable, it makes it very easy to come to the ballpark. Granted, not the best winning teams in those years, but we had some really good teams early on. But yeah, it is definitely a shock to see these guys, and I think they stole from. I think Brent Rooker should have gotten at least $100 million, considering what he's going to turn into. So I think he took a huge pay cut from that team by just sacrificing the years that he wanted to be there. So happy for the guy. We all happy for the guy getting paid, but I think he definitely deserved more. The Severino signing is a bit of a question mark for me because of past injuries and what you're going to get. But we never know what thit doing. So it is kind of a shock and a surprise. And I know a bunch of A's fans are pretty upset about it. Now we're going to spend when we're moving all the way down to Sacramento and basically creating a new fan base. So it can be frustrating when you look at it.
Mm-hmm. Everybody, we're in this arbitration time right now. So you went through arbitration with the A's when they were still in Oakland. Did they ever make any offers to you to stay? You wanted to stay. Did they ever push a number across the table where you were like, I kind of like this. Because you were that energy of that team. Not once.
No, not even close. So my free agent, so I think spring training of 2016, I got offered, I think it was 3 for 33, which was asinine and ridiculous because, and I don't mean this in a negative way, we had just paid Billy Butler 3 and 33, and he was a DH who was on the decline, and not, you're paying a DH the same amount you're trying to offer me when I've won you a Gold Glove, I've been here the longest, and like you said, I felt like I was the heart of that team, and I felt like I deserved a lot more, and immediately said no. And then I think when free agency came, they came at like 3 and 35 or something. So it wasn't even an offer that generated a response from yours truly.
Wow. 333 back then for Oakland, that was like a monster deal.
2016, it was pretty monster for them, but nowhere near what I felt like I was worth.
Hey, and that's fair. Yeah, they went big on what was the nickname for Billy? Big
Country breakfast.
Country breakfast.
Country breakfast. Yeah, exactly. Well, Josh, we're excited about having you on the what?
I'm laughing at Kratz's face when we talked about Billy Butler.
Well,
Everybody's got a Billy Butler
People
story.
that don't know Billy would say some stuff sometimes, and you were just like, what?
Here's how I put Billy Butler.
Billy would talk in the third person now. Don't let him fool you either.
Yeah.
Hey,
For everyone who's everybody who's not able to watch, everybody who's just listening right now, Josh stood up and was doing the Bill because Bill would sit here and he would pull he's like, hey, Josh, what are you doing? Josh, what are you doing over there? I hit 30. I hit 30 in KC. Kaufman, you ain't never hit 30 in Kaufman before. Hey, AJ, what are you doing up there? AJ, I can see you up there. Why aren't you talking to me? AJ,
Yep.
AJ, what are you doing?
There was not a conversation that Country Breakfast could not be a part of. You could be all the way down across the dugout. My man comes sprinting over. Red, what you got on this guy, man? I can't believe that shortstop was standing there, Red. What do you got on that guy? Bill, sit down.
Oh, Bill.
Hey, Bill would talk in the third person too. Don't let him fool you. I got him a couple times in the box. He would drop the Billy. He'd drop the Billy on you.
When you were
Like
catching, he'd be like,
yeah.
"Oh, Billy didn't like that pitch."
Oh, Billy. Billy was great.
Wow.
Billy was great for other dugout fodder.
Yes.
He was great for our stuff as well. So let's not get that. He kept toes, and he said some stuff that was like, what? Bill, Soccer Bill, and just think about what you just said for a second.
I don't think he's going to have his own podcast anytime soon, but it would be pretty popular. So we'll let you run point there in Houston, obviously, with Crush City Territory. So, Josh, thanks for joining us, dude. Here's the show, Crush City Territory. Chandler Rome from The Athletic, part of starting this up. His buddy Tyler Stafford, too, is on there. So you'll hear from Josh once a week-ish. He'll chime in. So, Josh, great to see you, dude. Again, congrats. We're excited to hear from you all year.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, Jen. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Josh Reddick with us on FT Live.
BetMGM Casino has the most exciting live dealer tables. So when you want the magic of Vegas, you get the magic of Vegas. All the excitement of a player's paradise with live dealer blackjack, roulette, craps, baccarat, and more. Anytime, anywhere.
I never split nines.
Download and get 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 on the house. Only from the casino, born in Vegas.
Hey, all right, let's get to a couple comments. So trying to, of course, always answer the YouTube fan, but also Instagram, TikTok, etc. So on TikTok, we posted our thoughts about Justin Verlander's deal. Nick on TikTok said, will this hurt their chances of landing Roki? No, I don't think people realize. Any team wants him, okay? Now there's finalists, the people that he met with, even though they didn't officially call them finalists, they're finalists. He's not going to just suddenly say, I want this team, even though I never spoke to them. And no, any team would make space for Roki Sasaki. No team's going to have a rotation too full for this guy. Even the Dodgers will boot one of their dudes and say, peace out, Roki's pitching, and they'll have a 12-man rotation. But no, he will be fine. Don't worry.
Dodgers might do the old Astros minor league status. They might announce their piggybacks. Astros would have 10 starters on their minor league teams, and everybody was piggybacked. They would schedule their 3 innings together, their 4 innings together. Not pitches, their innings. Dodgers could do that soon.
Do you remember when the Rockies tried that for a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
A lot of teams were doing it.
How'd it work out?
How does anything work out there, though?
Well, not even the Rockies, but how'd it work out? The Pirates, I think, tried this at one point too. But I mean,
in the big
yeah,
leagues?
I remember. I thought somewhere along the way. I don't know, but
Hey, the Tigers just had a one-man rotation at the end of last year.
The thing is the piggyback thing. It was never going to work because what happens if the guy goes out and doesn't pitch well? You got to get him his 4 innings. Like that was the problem. You can't do that, man. Like, come on. You got to have guys. You got to have depth. You got to have guys. At some point, the Rockies just need to try something completely off the wall.
Well, that's why Dan
But the
O'Dowd was
piggybacking
like,
is never going to work.
But
So,
what
like,
is the
just,
answer?
I don't know.
What's off
I don't
the
know.
wall?
You got to go out if you're the Rockies, and they always have the same people there. I get it. But at some point, if they ever find a new owner or a new GM or a new whatever president of baseball ops, go do something crazy.
Yeah, I'm into
Do
it.
it.
Try a different sport.
Something
Play
lacy.
soccer on-
Something I don't even know about.
All right, in the weeds, let's look at teams that have been pretty quiet this offseason. You want to start with Seattle? We actually haven't talked about the Mariners that much.
Because they haven't done anything.
Right, so let's talk about them.
What are we going to say? They haven't done anything?
I'll give you a quote from Jerry DiPoto during the winter meetings. He
We've
said,
done 54% of what we wanted to do?
that was part of it. It's the slogan for those that are allowed to say it. He said during the winter meetings, we are one of the better teams in the league. We go into each year forecast as a playoff team, and for 3 of the last 4 years, we've come up short. That's on us. We need to do more. We need to figure out how to take that last step. Forecast is an interesting term because that sounds like a computer projection.
You know how you do? You know how you take the next step? You go out and get a couple sluggers to go with that pitching staff you have.
They're in a pickle, and they've lost out on some guys. Apparently, they were in on Carlos Santana, I think for more money, but they spread it over 2 years. I think, don't quote me on that, but I know it was more money because I got some fans that were asking me, why didn't they end up getting him?
But Carlos Santana's not changing their franchise.
I told people, I was like, I don't think that's where they should be spending their money. I need more of a.
You need Julio to
secure
have a
bat.
better year.
What, quality at bats you're saying, Kratz?
Yeah, I mean, that's all he's giving you. Carlos Santana's giving you some good at bats. He still strikes out, but he's going to walk more than most of the guys in that lineup.
Yeah, but he's okay. 2 things.
He's still a strikeout guy and didn't have huge power.
He's 80. He's like, well, how old's Carlos?
He's
now?
40.
He did win a
He's
gold
30 now.
glove. He did win a gold glove last year, though.
Right. He good fielder. That's fine. Mariners need bats. And
That's what I'm
also,
saying.
Carlos crushed lefties, but he's a little platoonish. And the Mariners are getting real cute with the platoons for the last few years. How's it going?
Not good.
Not
I mean, they have
good.
Cal Raleigh, who's a stud. They need Julio to have a Julio type of year.
Right. That's the
JP Crawford
key.
to stay healthy.
Mhm.
The
Randy.
pitching staff just do it again. Randy to figure it out.
They made some moves at the deadline
But
last year that we were
They still
happy
need.
with.
I mean, Alex Bregman, but Alex Bregman's not going to go there, man.
No, he's not.
He's not going to go there, especially on a short-term deal, because you don't go to non-hitter parks on short-term deals.
Yeah, they need thump. Corner
I would-
infield.
Who's
thump.
out there?
I mean, they're not signing Pete.
They're not signing him.
There's no other first baseman on the free agent market
Who
left
are they going to
that
sign?
are impact.
Kratz, who they sign? Who would make an impact of the remaining free agents?
That would make an impact? Well, I mean, it's Pete. Pete's the remaining impact. But everybody we say, they're not going to resign him. Bregman's not going to go there. Pete's not going to go there on a one-year deal. I would have to say his quote, Jerry DiPoto's quote, I would agree with him. They're one of the better teams in the league. They're ridiculously solid up the middle. They have 3 potential all-stars up the middle. Their pitching staff is out of this world. Their projections every year. Yes, I get it. That's why Scott, in his fantasy league, picks them to make it to the playoffs. The
It's
Brewers.
not a league. It's just a fantasy.
It's a fantasy. Okay, that's fair. But the Brewers are never picked, and they make it. So to me, that's where they think their answer is. Why do the Brewers project at this time of year to have 78 wins every year, 76 wins, doesn't third in the NL Central? And so the Mariners, I think, are looking at it and saying, okay, so what do they do differently? They're not going out to get a big bat. You know, they go on the fringes. They get Rhys Hoskins when his market kind of declines. But they actually do it. They're actually doing that.
Yeah, but they play great defense. The Brewers don't strike out. The biggest problem is the Mariners strike out too much.
Yes.
I mean, talk about prop bets last year. I mean, I made a lot of money on prop bets last year on the Mariners strikeout totals.
They do strike out a lot. The Brewers
They strike
do not
out way
strike
too.
out.
The Brewers don't strike out. They put the ball in play. They steal bases. They play unbelievable defense, and they have.
So there's the
and
answer.
that's it.
And they did have star power. Willie
Brewers,
Adames.
yeah. I mean, let's not forget. Adames had an unbelievable year.
Yeah.
Contreras is one of the best catchers in baseball.
Churio
Adames
after
had
the first
an
month
okay
and a half.
year.
Okay. Churio after the first month and a half. Woo. All right, we got a break. We're going to step aside because big VIP
I mean, what's the
guest
move that
joining
helps
us
them
next.
catch the Rangers? That's the question.
Nothing. They're going to watch this interview and go, oh, man, we're in trouble. Chris Young's got something good going in Texas. We'll talk to him next. All right, FT fam. I know some of you have been asking, when's Chris Young coming on? He'll be on in 2 minutes here as we're on YouTube. The TV audience is in a commercial break right now. I'll bring up one question on a follow-up of what we were talking about. D-Rod said, why did Seattle trade Gino Suarez? He was a good bat. He was getting expensive, and he did strike out a ton, and they wanted to try and change the theme of the lineup. And
They actually got worse.
And they got worse.
It's like
And
a
Gino
Rosarena
was
doesn't
good.
strike out.
I know. He does. He strikes out a lot.
And they brought in Jorge Polanco, who didn't strike out a lot, and he started striking out more. I think it was his highest amount of strikeouts in a season. So if it's not you, it's me.
But that's where people start saying, what's going on here?
Batters
Brent Brown, they fired their offensive coordinator like a month into the year. Remember, he came on in like May and he'd been let go. Then they fired him. They fired their hitting coach. They fired everybody. They fired their manager. They brought in Edgar Martinez. And they got a little bit better, but they didn't get good enough to make the playoffs.
Nope. Did they do two moves at the deadline last year that stood out?
Rosarena.
And someone else or no?
He's the only one I could think of. They got rid of Ty France, didn't they?
They did. You guys remember? I got to look.
I thought Rosarena was the only one I remember.
No, it's funny. We haven't talked about this team.
Because I remember Rosarena got traded, and instead of flying to play for the Mariners, he's sitting in the stands for Tampa Bay watching the game.
That's awesome.
Like, wait, what?
Just for like a few innings and
it doesn't matter.
It was cool.
One win.
It wasn't.
If he flies there and gets there by the 9th inning and hits a ground ball that scores the winning run and push them into the playoffs by one win, I've never seen it.
Nope.
Victor Robles, they picked up. And he was good.
Yeah. He did good.
He was good
really
when he
well.
got there. He was good when he got there, and he kind of fizzled off,
yeah.
and they signed him to an extension, too.
They did. Yeah.
Yep.
He's a good athletic player, but usually gets overexposed when he's playing a lot, right?
That's why
They have a
become a
center
bench
fielder.
player.
They have a
And
center fielder
Julio
already,
Rodriguez,
too.
Mr. Field.
Right, but he's going to get a lot of playing time.
Okay.
Robles, isn't he?
Has to. No way they gave him an extension to be a platoon.
Right, exactly. All right,
Where's
we're
he
back in
playing?
10 seconds
Right?
with Chris Young.
Right field.
Yeah. Chris Young runs the front office for the Rangers. Former big leaguer joins us right now in foul territory for the first time with the ultimate flex behind him. That's what you want. That's a prime shot setup right there. Oh, Chris,
Zip.
Chris, thanks for joining us. And do you see what AJ did to try and troll you right from the jump here in this conversation?
No, I missed it. What did AJ do?
No, I'm trying. Since I wore a quarter zip for the first time ever because I knew we were having you on, and every GM/president wears quarter zips. So I don't know how to do the collar though. Do you go collar up, like like some guys do, or do you bend it over because you have the collared shirt on? So then you have double collars.
Yeah, mine's collar up, AJ. But trust me, I haven't perfected. When you're my size, you take what you can get. You don't. It's measures can't be used when it comes to a wardrobe. So I just take whatever has a Ranger T logo on it and try to wear it as best I can. But no, I'm certainly no fashion model. But Happy New Year to you guys. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you.
Faux pas. Yeah, we've had 2 faux pas today already.
What?
1, Josh Reddick wearing his Georgia, and then 2, happy it's too late. 7th is the
I
cutoff.
don't think it's too late.
Too late. You would think a guy that went to Princeton would know when the cutoff for Happy New Year is. It's not.
Well, AJ, I didn't know you're the police of when it's okay to say Happy New Year.
Thank you.
It's a week into the new year. I haven't seen you, but if it's too late, then I'm sorry.
It's okay. Happy New Year, Chris.
AJ's like Larry David.
That's
Go ahead,
right.
Kratz.
See what? Before since AJ comes on and is making fun of your belly shirt because you're too tall for any kind of normal size shirt. Did you hate AJ when you played against him? Did he get under your crawl?
The truth is, AJ and I, we got to know each other a little bit outside of playing against each other. And no, I really liked him. I think he's super smart. He understands the game and, he's competitive. And I actually appreciate guys who get under opponents' skin a little bit. So the truthful answer is no, I didn't dislike AJ playing against him. I appreciated kind of his competitiveness.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris, because you know what you basically said? Suck it, Chris.
First
And by the way,
guest
that leads
ever.
First guest ever. That leads me
That's
to
right.
my next question, though. So you had Will Venable, who's now manager of the White Sox. He went to Princeton, right? The next thing you would think of is you want to hire somebody to take his place, right? I went to the Harvard of the South. So is that why you didn't call me about the bench coach job? Is because I went to the Harvard of the South and you guys went to Princeton?
My guess, the truthful answer, AJ, is my guess is that your podcast is too lucrative and that we wouldn't be able to afford you. But nonetheless, we'll keep you on the short list for the next hiring process.
Perfect. That's all I ask.
We are doing well. All right, so I'm going to transition this to someone that's at least got a little AJ in him at the press conference. What did you think of Jock Peterson being like, this is our division now?
Well, one, I appreciate Jock's confidence. I love that he wanted to be a Ranger and that he believes in this team and what we can accomplish. Certainly, we want that in all of our players. And I think that's part of the reason we wanted to sign him is that he brings a little bit of that swagger, that energy. And I think we missed some of that in 2024. Coming off the World Series, I felt like we missed some of that energy. The guys were tired, run down a little bit. We had some injuries that caught up to us. And I think Jock will be a breath of fresh air. I think you guys know me well enough. It's probably not my style to publicly say that, but I appreciate the confidence. But I recognize how tough our division is, how much work we have to do, and we're the underdogs. Houston has had a long run of success. Seattle has done a great job. Anaheim's improved, and the A's are on the upswing. So we have a lot of work to do, and I just want our work to speak for itself and for our guys to go out and win baseball games. And when we do that, we'll be in a good spot.
See why. I'm going to take you back to 2015, spring training. You signed a little bit late in spring, and I caught your first bullpen. And we stood there afterwards in the 6-pack, 8-pack, whatever it was, and you said, I've missed the playoffs by one game or lost in the consolation game too many times. I don't want to do that again this year. And your focus on that was we had just met, played against you, dominated you in the box as I hit against you because, I could see your pitches really well. But anyway, we got to talking about it. And ever since you got the job in Texas, I sit here and I think about, I've always said this on the show. I think about that. Do you think about that and use that as motivation as a GM when you're making moves, when you're trying to put your team together, that I don't want to miss the playoffs by one game?
Yeah, Kratz, it's so funny. First of all, I can't believe you remember that conversation. I mean, I'm blown away that you remember that. But yes, at that point, I think I had missed out on the playoffs on the last day of the season 3 different times in my career. And so when I came over to Kansas City in 15, I was a late sign. You guys had been to the World Series the year before, and all I wanted was another taste of the playoffs. And for me, coming there, it was the first clubhouse I had walked in a long time where the expectation was to win the World Series. And it was palpable, and every player in that clubhouse knew it. And I knew this is where I belong. And so the short answer is yes, I do think of that, not necessarily in terms of me missing it, but I really believe the players' careers are short, and every player deserves the opportunity to experience a winning environment and the chance to compete for a championship. And my objective in this role is that we are providing that to our players every single year. That's the goal. And if we're not doing our best to achieve that, then I'm not doing my job, and certainly I shouldn't be in this.
Do you look at other teams, and I'm not saying anybody specific, but you see other teams that don't do it that way? Do you look at it, and now this is your third year, and you're still really new into this role? Do you look at it and go, oh, maybe I'm wrong? I know I won a World Series, so I guess I'm right, but maybe I'm wrong if so many teams are really not focused on doing it that way.
Yeah, I can't speak to other organizations. What I can speak to is every organization has a different set of circumstances, a different market size, a different period of their cycle that they're in. And right now with us, we are in our win now cycle, and we feel like it's our obligation to compete for a championship and do every move we possibly can to push us towards that. So every organization is different, and I don't know exactly what goes into the decision making in every place. But that said, I know these jobs are hard. I know everybody who has these roles, they want to win. And sometimes that's winning within a 3 to 5 year period. And sometimes that's in win now mode right, in this moment. And that's the way we're operating given where we are.
See, you mentioned that you guys were tired last year after winning and you had a down year. Bruce Bochy has a track record of winning, down year, winning. So is this the year for the Rangers to get back to winning?
Well, if you believe in Boch's pattern that he's established over the last however many years he's managed, and certainly, I can't speak to that. And I really believe that, last year's down year had nothing to do with Boch as a manager. He did a tremendous job. Our staff did a tremendous job. But I think we all realized the toll that 2023 took on us, from fighting our way into the playoffs to clawing our way through the playoffs into the World Series, and just finishing the series really kind of banged up and hurt on a number of levels. We just didn't have the offseason that we needed to have, and then we got into the year. We actually got off to an okay start, and then had some injuries that derailed us and some underperformance that caught up to us. And really, I look at it from my perspective, I didn't do a good enough job of building a deep enough roster and doing the things that we needed to do to accommodate for the injuries and the underperformance. And I think we've tried to remedy that this year. We've created more competition on our roster, and I think we've got an overall deeper roster than what we had going into spring last year. So, Boch is such a wonderful manager. I want to give him the best roster possible and then let him go work his magic.
Listen, whatever you did, you won the World Series. As a player, there's some tolls that need to be taken, and so you pushed it, you did it. I get it. You're going to learn from that stuff, but you pushed it. So I don't think you feel too bad. That trophy is nicely shined up for our show today.
Well, the honest truth is that's the trophy from the Royals in 15. And so and frankly, it's a snow day here. Normally I'd be in the office, but we have a snow day. We've got sleet and snow here in North Texas. So I'm home, and you guys get to see the home office. So it's not my style, but nonetheless, that's the reason for the background today.
I was going to ask you why you have one of your AL West opponent's hats.
I was going to ask him the same question.
But that
I was going to ask the same question.
But that means nothing.
The same question.
Nothing slips
by.
It's
so funny. It's so funny. You can see it. We represent all the teams for which I played during my career. So I'm a proud member of 5 different organizations, including the Rangers.
Okay, that's fair. We have to give you a hard time. But now I got a question.
Nothing less.
You can't talk specifically about free agents. I get that part. But the part of the free agency process that I always have questions about, because I never went through it, you're in the middle of it. Are you afraid as a GM talking to ownership, player of baseball operations, talking to ownership, to make contract offers to free agents because they might use that as leverage against you? Because we sit here and we go, why are teams not necessarily offering, not necessarily the Rangers, not even a specific player, but why are they not offering? But then we hear, oh, well, this many teams were in on them. And it just feels like a tired commentary that, oh, well, they were in on them. Well, if you're really in on them and you really wanted them, go get that man. Like, you know what his value is. Everybody knows what that value is.
Yeah, Kratz, it's a great question, and one to say I have it all figured out, I don't. Certainly it's been a learning experience for me on this end. Nonetheless, I subscribe to kind of the theory you just described, which is when we want a player, we're very aggressive in trying to pursue that player, and we try to put our best foot forward and make the best offer possible. And sometimes that's good enough, and sometimes it's not. And but nonetheless, there's not a whole lot of games that we go through. It's certainly very straightforward in terms of our approach to free agency. But I think the key is just identifying the right player that we want. And then sometimes there is a timing to the market that the player isn't ready, or he's still receiving offers, or maybe we're not ready. We're still feeling out the market. So there is a little give and take with it. But nonetheless, when we want someone, we try to be aggressive and really pursue pretty hard.
So let's talk about what you've done, and then I want to ask you just where you feel like there's any holes or anything left, because obviously there's still many players on the market, even without getting into the individual players. But what are you proud of what you've done so far? And if you can, within that conversation, mix in, I did see some rumors that you had some phone calls with Max Fried, which I think we can talk about since he signed already.
Yeah, Scott. So what we've done thus far, I mean, we came into the offseason with a couple primary goals, the first of which is to really get our offense back to being an elite offense. I think our downfall in 2024 was that we took a major step backwards offensively. And so we tried to evaluate what went well in 2023, what our current roster personnel is capable of in terms of projections, and then trying to fill in the rest. And we immediately signed Kyle Higashioka. We felt like we needed somebody to really help Jonah Heim and split time with Jonah. We feel like we've got a great catching core, and the two of them combined, we think are going to do a great job together. And then we traded for Jake Berger. Jake is someone who we felt like has real upside, ability to hit the fastball, pretty even splits, and winning personality. Somebody who we felt like would fit our clubhouse well. And then lastly, signing Jock. Jock, as I spoke to earlier, is just an infectious personality who brings this energy and this belief and conviction, and has done a great job really in his role handling right-handed pitching. And in our division with the pitching that Houston, Seattle, even Oakland with their improvements, and certainly Anaheim, we're going to have to be able to hit right-handed pitching. And so getting back to being an elite offense has been one of our primary goals. And we feel like with a healthy Evan Carter, a healthy Josh Young, a healthy Corey Seager, and hopefully standard performance from Adolis Garcia and Jonah Heim this year, that we can, kind of get back to where we were. That's our objective. On the pitching side, we lost some key members to our bullpen. So really upgrading our bullpen and improving our bullpen, both at, really the leverage spots and kind of the middle innings and the floor of our bullpen has been an objective. And we've had a number of signings that we think have improved our bullpen and put us in a better spot. We're still open-minded in terms of improving our bullpen and finding the right leverage arms to kind of help us close out games. And then on the starting pitching front, we feel pretty good about our starting pitching with a healthy Jacob deGrom. We were able to bring back Nathan Eovaldi, who has been such an instrumental piece of our success here, and such a wonderful person and teammate, somebody who really embodies our values, and we're thrilled that he's back. And then a healthy Tyler Mahle, Cody Bradford, a young starting pitcher, and then we have John Gray, Kamar Rocker, and Jack Leiter, and we feel like we've got pretty good depth in our starting pitching. So overall, we feel good. I think one of the things I've learned is I never feel great about things, that I'm constantly looking to find ways to improve or upgrade. But nonetheless, we feel really good about the work that we've done and where we sit at this point. That said, we know that going into spring and into the season, we'll constantly look for ways to improve.
Man, you got the GM speak down so nice. So nice. Like the GM's, oh my God.
Nice.
Laying it on
Well,
like
it starts
so thick.
with a quarter zip, AJ.
That's
You got
right.
the look right.
Look at that. Look at me go. But see why. So those guys are healthy. Before those guys are healthy. DeGrom, Malley, Rocker, Lucky and Jamie finally got those guys to be healthy again, or what?
Yeah, well, look, we've given them some challenges health wise, but yes, all those guys are healthy as we sit here today. Everybody is fully prepared to be full go first day of spring training, so we're in a great spot. I got a medical report 2 days ago coming out of the new year, and we're knock on wood in a good spot right now.
Nice.
Okay, and then who's going to be your bullpen? How do you if it was right now and you had to go into spring training, who's the closer? Who's the setup guy? How would you like to stack them?
Well, I think right now, working backwards in terms of the leverage arms, I mean, clearly we just signed Chris Martin, who an established track record as a leverage pitcher. We feel very good about him at the back of the bullpen. I'm not saying he's the closer. And we traded for Robert Garcia with the Nationals, who also we feel like is a leverage arm. And, then we signed Sean Armstrong, Jacob Webb, Hobie Milner. And to go with some of our young arms that we have, we feel very good about the sort of overall floor of the bullpen. And I think the way we've done it really, in 2023, especially before we had an established closer, we try to play matchups and really look at individual matchups, pockets, and set these guys up for success and go into each game knowing, okay, in these situations, we're going to have these guys available and try to finish the game that way. It could change. We're going to stay open-minded on ways to improve at the back of the bullpen and find another leverage arm. And, but right now, as we sit here today, I think Garcia and Martin in some combination, who knows, maybe Armstrong plays in there, and we'll do our best to close out games and hopefully, have some leads to work with and a margin of error.
All right, CY, since you're tasting yourself with your World Series trophy and your little poker, whatever that little glass trophy is, why do you have a Red Sox Orioles picture behind you? Because to my knowledge, what does that have to do with you? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I get the Mariners cap in the background.
He likes McDonald's. He likes McDonald's.
Oh, he likes McDonald's. He wants a McDonald's sponsorship. Is that it?
Oh, it's not the McDonald's sponsorship, and it's not the Hess sponsorship either. But it's that's actually the scoreboard for my first Major League win, and it was Rangers Red Sox in 2004. And a bunch of my college friends were there, and one of my good college friends, she thought to snap a picture of the scoreboard at the end of the game, and I'm so grateful that she did. And so it's been my background. I probably need to update it and get something Rangers up there, but nonetheless, that was my first Major League win. And actually, it's a great story. I was never good enough to pitch an actual opening day. But that game was the day they were filming the movie Fever Pitch, and it was Labor Day weekend in Boston in 2004, and they recreated opening day for that game, and I happened to be pitching. So that was the closest thing I ever got to an opening day, but nonetheless, it was my first Major League win and a great memory.
That's
You
cool.
are a movie star. I didn't know that you were a movie star, too. Unbelievable. You got a face to be a GM, but, man, that is that's awesome.
Trust me. That's the extent of my movie career.
What is last one for me? What does Dave Bush bring to this coaching staff? Not many people know Bushy. Bushy and I were drafted together. He kind of really helped Boston do a lot when he was a pitching coach there, and now he's coming on to your staff. He kind of helped out in kind of a subsidiary role for you guys last year. But what does he bring that you guys didn't have?
No, thanks for asking. I mean, first of all, in today's world, there's no such thing as a pitching coach who can do it all. I mean, this is really a pitching department, and we have to find ways to supplement all the different areas that our players need. And Mike Maddox has done a tremendous job, and we want to make sure that we can support Mike with other coaches who can provide expertise in some of the areas that maybe aren't his specialty, so to speak. And allow Mike to do the things that he's best at. And Dave Bush is exactly that. Bushy and I were teammates back in amateur baseball. We played in Chatham in the Cape Cod League together, so we've known each other a long time. We played against each other in the big leagues and have stayed in touch. And when he was no longer with the Red Sox and we had the opportunity to hire him, we brought him here. And he immediately made a big difference in our front office, really pushed some ideas and some different thoughts that maybe we needed to modernize. And then now he's going back in the dugout as our assistant pitching coach. He pitched for Mike in Milwaukee, so they've got a pre-existing relationship, and they get along great. So we're really, really excited about the impact that Bushy's had, and it's our attempt to try to give our players every resource possible to be successful, and we think Bushy's a great resource.
You mentioned Mike Maddox, having played for Texas and Mike Maddox. I need a two-shot here, being Scott.
Wow, you need me?
I need you. I said
right,
two-shot.
Right. I didn't know.
Sorry,
They
I know.
thought you meant him.
Does Mike Maddox, when he talks to you, CY, does he come up to you when he's talking about players and grab his little mustache and go, hey, CY, I think we should really trade for this player. I just want to feel your heartbeat. Because every time he goes out to the mound, he grabs the pitcher and is like, hey,
Yeah, he does. You've got him down, AJ. That's Mike. He goes out there. And my understanding, and actually I've never really fact-checked with Mike, but my understanding is that it's his way of calming the player, of measuring the
No, he wants to feel their heart. He wants to feel their heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he grabs them on the shoulder.
So if he's too nervous, he's out.
Putting his hand on their chest may be a little odd. So the shoulder, hopefully he can get their heart rate. But nonetheless, Mike, he's so good. He's just masterful, especially at the psychology of pitching and understanding everything that goes into it. So he's done a wonderful job, and we're very grateful he's here.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's great.
I can't let him go without asking about the White Sox. I mean, what is Will Venable? Is he going to lead them to the not the worst record of all time this year? I mean, come on, give us White Sox fans some hope here.
Yeah.
Will, he's a tremendous guy. I'm so happy for him. I'm so excited for him. He's going to do great work there. I know he's prepared. He's ready. I think that I hope that we have helped him prepare for what he's got ahead of him. And, but he's a great person, a great leader, and I have full confidence he's going to do a wonderful job there.
I like it. All right. Do you feel convinced?
Convinced me. He convinced me.
No.
Boom, there you go.
Yep, totally convinced me.
There you go.
Will Venable just went from lounging by the pool, eating grapes with the Rangers, getting stuff out of his teeth with diamonds, to straight into the Lions' den. It's just going to be every day, just something going on. And then when they start doing well in a few years, then it's going to be AJ's like, I'm the biggest fan of the White Sox. Come here, let me come on the field and talk to your players so you guys don't win another World Series so that I can be the last of the World Series winning White Sox.
AJ does watch every night, even through the pain, so I'll give him that. But Chris, awesome to have you on. Thanks for doing this. Our first year, actually, of the show was your championship year, so we picked up a lot of Rangers fans early on. So we got a good Rangers crowd that was looking forward to this.
Tell Rich thank you. Tell Rich thank you. Tell Rich thank you. Okay?
PR Rich.
CY knows what I'm talking about. Just tell Rich thank you.
Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
We love you, Rich.
Yeah. Guys, thanks for having me. Good seeing you all. We'll see you this spring.
Yes. You
Yes,
too.
sir. Good luck.
See you in the spring. We'll be out there.
Thank you.
Ooh, all right. Win totals. We keep going through teams right now. So BetMGM has the Giants at 79.5. Ooh.
That's about right, man. That's a tough one. I'm gonna actually go under. I'm gonna go like 77.
It's actually wrong. You can't win half a game.
I'm going to go 77 and 78. I don't think they're 500 this year because of the division.
See, the problem is when you say 77, 78, we're
That's
so
under.
close that for me it means do not touch. You know, I do the
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You have
But
a
I have to
category
pick.
that you do not touch. That's a category that I do not touch.
I have to pick that one, though. I mean,
Yeah.
we have to pick. So, Kratz, what do you think?
I'm so on board with that. To say they're an 80-win team is hard for me. But if we look up and say they won 80 wins because Robbie Ray was healthy, Logan Webb is probably one of the most
Verlander.
underrated starting pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have Birdsong as their sixth starter right now, who, to me, I think really turned some stuff around and will be his second year. I would not touch it. I would not touch it, but I have to guess. I'm going to say they go over. It is. I put a little pins down. I was looking at some of these. Are we going to go through every team in this
Yes.
segment? Okay, then I won't say who I was looking at because there's another lock that's on there. Not going to say.
That's what we want, though.
What would you say? You have to pick. Don't give me. I'm not touching it because we know that.
No, I pick every day though. I'm not touching it, but I'm going under. Going under. Yeah,
I mean,
somebody's going to have to be back.
Here, Willie Adames continues to do what
They
he
lost.
does.
Hey, I know.
Bailey
Some
takes
fans
the
are going to
next
give me
step.
crap on this, but Blake Snell, after the hiccup in the beginning, and once he got back on the field, he was nasty. They don't have anything like that.
But they just don't score enough runs.
And they don't score enough runs, and they didn't do enough. I mean, I'm not going to criticize them. It's not like they're doing nothing, but you happen to be in the division that spends more than any other in baseball. Dodgers are better than you. Padres are better than you. Diamondbacks are better than you. But guess what? We're doing our show live from Borgata tomorrow, and you can participate. MLB players, including our guys, but others too, are playing in the Bounty Shootout, okay? Also, New Jersey and Michigan have the combined prize pool, so check that out. But here's our event, Foul Territory, live at the BetMGM Bounty Pitch Out, and we have our big league live stream at 6 o'clock Eastern time. 6 o'clock East Coast time. You can log into BetMGM's YouTube channel plus ours, and you can hear the guys talk a little trash as they play against each other. It's going to be fun. There's no baseball game, so watch that.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. I miss this segment because we do it more during the season since there's a lot of quotes, but Brent Rooker's very active on Twitter, and his latest jab back at fans. So one fan goes, Anthony Santander and his agent probably want to kick your ass right now if I'm being honest, but I love this for you and the fans. Talking about the contract extension that he signed for 5 years, $60 million. Rooker's response, guys, I wasn't a free agent. What I signed before entering my first year of arbitration has zero bearing or impact on the free agent market. They are not the same thing. This isn't a difficult concept. The only thing I'll disagree with is for some people that don't pay attention to the nitty gritty of the everyday with contracts, they look and they're like, what? He got robbed. But everything matters in terms of how many years of service time you have in baseball. It's how many years of service time plus what's your age. And that's how they come up with numbers and comps. So Santander and Rooker have zero to do with each other.
That guy's name was Dim the Halo. I wonder who he's a fan of. Is he an Astros fan? Is he a Dim the Halo? That means he's probably not an Angels fan, right? Because doesn't it light up the halo when they win?
Maybe he's a frustrated Angels fan, and he wanted Rooker. A lot of people wanted Rooker, Kratz, and they are not getting him.
Oh,
Rooker?
No, actually, now he's easier to trade.
Why?
Yeah.
Because he's locked up.
In? I know, but they're not going to deal him right now, and they're not going to deal Mason Miller.
It's the A's.
I know it's the A's, but I'm not saying they're never going to deal him. I said right now.
Okay.
This coming season, Rooker's an A, Mason Miller's an A. Even if they're terrible, those two are staying.
Did you see his contract breakdown?
I did.
Yeah, I mean, $2 million this year, $5 million, $7 million. Like he's not. It's a lot of backloaded. So if they're gonna send him out somewhere, send him out now.
Send him out now.
Send him out early.
What do you mean?
Not now. Send him out earlier to get the value because that's what the A's do.
No, I disagree. It's the total opposite. They suck up the value now while he costs nothing, and then if he costs too much later on, when they're getting 24,000 seats filled instead of 30, then they trade him because they have to lower payroll. And we do the same skit, Groundhog Day, over and over and over again until the dude sells the team.
But if it was $2 million for the first year, maybe they're not as high. Maybe they're not all the way to that 105.1 as Scott Ostler said earlier in the show.
He got a $10 million signing bonus. Did you catch that part?
Okay. So that goes into so that's $12 million for this year.
Yeah, kind of. But yes, he did get $10 million up front just now. So he's good. But those numbers are put together based on what he would get in ARB in that range.
Yeah.
That's why it keeps
He'd get more than $2 million
escalating
in ARB,
that way. I agree.
But you know what he did? He got the $10 million up front.
Yes.
So that makes up for it.
Yeah, that just cashed. That's good. That's
Not
good
in
living.
California.
True. Not as good living in
But
California.
he doesn't live in California. I thought he lived in Tennessee.
That's what I mean. Not in California. He didn't get that
He
$10
gets-
million.
he
That's
in
the
California.
point.
He gets that $10 million
Right.
not in California.
That's true.
Correct.
Yes. And when Brent he's going to join us next week when he gets himself all together after all this stuff. So next week we'll get him on FT and we'll talk about this. And we'll do an education session on how contracts work in Major League Baseball. We can stay on for the YouTube crowd in a second, answer more questions, but we'll take a quick break.
I'm good.
Well, I'm going to answer questions and then we'll slap.
You're a good fellow, AJ.
Yeah, you're a good fella. I just want to keep recapping our.
By the way, when does
conversation.
producer lady listen to you? You never listen to her, so all of a sudden now she listens to you?
Why are you trying to create drama?
I'm not. I'm just asking. I was
We're all
asked
friends.
on the chat that we have, do you guys want to stop break or
No one knows
talk?
what that means.
And I said, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then Scott goes, well, I want to keep going. So then producer lady listens.
We got 10 minutes left. Let's just talk.
Well, we've been talking for an hour and 50 minutes.
You know what? It's random, but I was up super early.
You know what I can't wait for?
What?
We go to poker tomorrow.
Okay.
And that crazy dude sits down next to you and
You're-
he talks your ear off for 2.5 hours.
You know
That's
what?
what I can't wait for.
And I just bought new headphones, and I'm gonna be like some of the poker dudes that are locked in.
Okay. Try and get Kratz's glass trophy because that's what I'm going for. If I finish higher than Kratz, I get the trophy.
No,
What do you mean, no?
that's not how it works. You got to win.
Not even
He
close.
didn't win. He finished like 166th place.
No, he won.
No,
Did it
I
say
won
first
this one.
place? Does that
First
say
place.
place?
First place.
First
He actually
place.
won.
Okay.
It
If
was
I
an
finish
online,
ahead of Kratz, I get it.
online tournament. He won. It's true.
And if I finish ahead of you, do I get your Silver Slugger bats?
No, you don't. Because
No.
that has
Well,
nothing to do
why
with
not?
poker. That has nothing to do with poker.
Okay.
Do you guys think that the Rangers will start any of their guys later on in the season? He said that they're healthy coming into spring training, but some people
I
afterwards
think he's going
were
to take it
asking.
easy on DeGrom,
Right.
Alley.
But how do you
Rocker
take it
pitched at the
easy?
end.
Like,
I
is he-
think they're going to take it easy and try to skip them when they can,
right.
not throw them full loads. Yeah, I 100% think they're going to do that because they're counting on DeGrom. They're counting on Tyler Malley.
They got to
counting
get
on
in
Skubal
though. This is what
Rocker.
people have to realize too: is you can't save up for the playoffs if you don't make it to the playoffs.
Yeah,
The
but they don't want to
Rangers
hurt
aren't
them
a
in
lot.
April. You can't win the pennant in April, but you can lose it.
Right. So my point was: is Jacob deGrom going to start the season late? I don't think so. Is Tyler Malley going to start the season late? I don't think so. Right?
You know what I
To
wanted
me-
to
As
ask?
long as they're okay, you're not going to be like, oh, let me start them in May, so we save
Evan
their
Carter,
innings.
when's Carter coming back?
I don't know.
If
know
only
what I
we
wanted
had
to
the
ask?
GM on to ask.
He's not the GM anymore.
We asked him.
He's
a
not the
bunch.
GM. He's
He's
the
the
sorry,
P-Bop
Pobo.
now.
Pobo.
Bobo?
Pobo, whatever. P-Bop. I like
P-
P-Bop better.
P-Bop?
Yeah, president of baseball ops.
I actually
P-Bop.
like that. I haven't heard that before.
So,
We got
you know
20
what I
seconds.
didn't get to ask him, and I wanted to ask him? How are
What?
they going to hit fastballs this year? Because they got destroyed. I did a lot of Ranger games last year. They got annihilated by four-seam fastballs.
I know.
Like, I'm telling you, every team was like, four-seamer strikeout, four-seamer strikeout.
They got
Speedball.
some new guys coming in. You know who loves fastballs? Jake Berger.
Jake Berger.
He eats fastballs.
The burger.
Yeah. Absolutely riveting day with all the arbitration numbers.
By the
being
way, I love that
exchanged.
we have Dinger in our slap hands.
Well,
Not slapping hands, just going like this.
it's why you can never say we don't talk about the Rockies. I think we've talked about the Rockies every day this week.
We have.
I'm exhausted. You know, the one other thing that Chris Young brought up was how his team was exhausted. And I think fans still have a hard time gripping the World Series hangover, but people fall for it every year. So, okay, here's the big one. The Dodgers won the World Series this past year. Are they going to have a World Series hangover?
Well, a lot of their
Every
pitchers,
team's
though,
had
a lot of their
one.
pitchers, though, weren't really. I mean, Flaherty's gone. Bueller's gone. Where's Kershaw didn't pitch in the playoffs?
Mhm.
So who's their starting rotation?
Yeah, but the offense fell off for the
Yamamoto
Rangers.
missed a bunch of the year.
Right. The offense fell off for the Rangers after their season. This is different. The Dodgers are different.
The difference is the Dodgers, almost everybody on that roster has been to the playoffs, been to the National League Championship Series, been to the World Series. They are aware of what they need to do and how they need to stagger their off-season workouts to be ready for the season.
It's called load management, too, during the season.
Yeah, but they still play every day. Freddie plays every day.
Not all of them do.
plays every day. Shohei hits every day. Max Muncy plays when he can.
Mm-hmm.
But Will Smith plays a lot. These guys play. They've played every day their whole career, so they understand the grind. To me, it's more about the pitching. The problem with the Rangers is they all got hurt.
Pitchers?
Their pitchers fell off, and a lot of them got hurt. Right? And then their hitters obviously didn't hit. They just had a bad year.
Yeah.
Like overall. It was just like they just had a bad. Like it's very. We used to have a joke. Paul Konerko used to have a joke. Like he used to say, like when somebody would mess up, he'd be like, "Hey," like our clubhouse guy did do something. He'd be like, "Hey," his name was Vinny. He'd be like, "Hey, Vinny." Even clubbies have bad years, right? Well, this was just every person for the Rangers. It felt like had a bad year. Seager got hurt, right? Young got hurt. Jonah Heim didn't have the same year. Nathaniel Lowe didn't have the same year, right? It was just like Adolis Garcia definitely didn't have the same year. It was just like everyone had a bad year at the same time. Now you're expecting them to go back to the norm.
Yes, there's good talent on that roster, so I feel okay. Got a minute left, and then for the crowd online, we'll stay on for a few.
Because Scott wants to.
Kratz out.
Well, I wore this yesterday for Kip, and it just was still on the table. Columbus Clippers. Just a nice. I think it was like a
Cleveland
July
Cavaliers.
4th.
It does.
It looks like a Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, I like the
Look at that.
inside there. Yeah, that's nice. The lining, USA.
Good. They did a good job. I think it was a July 4th.
Yeah.
Never been to Columbus.
No?
Mm-mm.
Sneaky town. Very nice.
Never been there.
They have a nice setup with that
I've heard it's
ballpark.
good.
I called a
never
AAA
played in
All-Star
that
game
league.
there. Yeah, it's nice. Fans support it. They show up.
I've heard it's a good city, but I've never been there for anything. Like football game, nothing.
They show up for the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets stadium's right there. They did a great job right there. Stadium was a dump. I think it was actually a dump. And they put their Columbus Blue Jackets stadium and the
It was
Clippers.
literally a dump of waste.
Literally
Wow.
a waste.
We'll see everyone in Jersey tomorrow for the show live. It's probably going to snow.
No, it won't.
All right, here we are. We're back. 3 more minutes, and then we'll go to Dodgers territory.
I got to catch a plane.
I do too.
AJ, you were a better hitter. You weren't great at catching. How about you just get on the plane? Okay.
I'm gonna hold my tongue before I say something I shouldn't.
Well, we're on YouTube now.
Takes a
so
lot
you
to
can
hurt
cuss.
my feelings.
That's true,
I
too.
wasn't gonna say anything. I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna say anything bad about Kratz. I'm just gonna.
We're going to be with Kratz tomorrow.
I know.
Todd Bother, Dellin Betances, Doug Mankiewicz, Brett Myers.
There's a lot of shit talking in that group.
Anybody who are you
I was gonna
most
say,
excited to see?
Brett Myers and Doug
Brett's a wild-
Mankiewicz are gonna go crazy.
Brett
Brett's
Myers
a
and
wild
Doug
card.
Mankiewicz hosting a podcast together would be incredible for 1 hour, and then it would get canceled.
Whew.
I mean,
Brett's a wild
Doug's one of
card.
my Doug's one of my best friends. He's awesome, but there are times where even I'm like, Doug, stop. You got to stop.
He's opinionated.
He is very opinionated.
Yeah.
And sometimes his opinions are right.
Boy.
Sometimes they're not right, but you cannot convince him that he's not right.
No, he's right.
You literally could look at this desk and be like, Doug, this desk is white, and he thinks it's black, and you are not convincing him.
Nope.
Even if you show him, like, this is white,
Yep.
and he's like, nope. That's just the way Doug
Oh,
is.
boy.
That served him well in his career.
I don't know Doug at all, but if he's that way, let's make sure him and Brett are not sitting next to each other. We might not even get hands played. Like on a live stream, we're all mic'd up. Him and Brett opposite, especially since it'll be 7 o'clock for Brett. Gets a little later with the imbibements.
Happy hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brett's a wild card.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Joe Blanton. Joe Blanton's more laid back, right?
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah. Well, compared to the other two we just brought up. Yeah.
Right. Brett might get him going.
I'm gonna
though,
have
'cause-
Betanzas. I'm gonna have Betanzas next to me. I'm just gonna have him stand up and be like, take care of him.
He is a big fella. Nice fella.
He's gonna win
big
it all,
fella.
too.
Yeah.
Good fella.
He is by far the best
Franson's
poker
gonna be hiding
player.
behind Betanzas, I promise you.
Kevin Franzen, yes, is half the size of Dellin. And Dellin's really good at poker. All right, Dodgers territory is coming up next. We'll be back on tomorrow live, 1 o'clock
Coming for you,
Eastern
Dylan.
time.
I'm taking you down tomorrow.
Good trash talk at night.